This week on the show, I'm taking a few minutes to dive into a topic that perhaps hasn't occurred to you before. What are the areas in which you naturally shine? What if instead of spending all of our time, energy, and attention trying to fix the places where we're broken, we can move forward, move more easily and quickly towards our goals by putting attention and building more opportunities to demonstrate these areas in which we have natural flow, our natural character strengths that radiate most easily. So glad to have you with me. Thanks for joining. Living in a stressful world doesn't mean you have to give up on happiness. Instead, you can shift your perspective of stress and discover how to live your life in flow. Welcome to Happified. I'm your host, Susie Vine. Join me for inspiration and interviews with folks who are shining their light in the world in the areas of positive mindset, health, and wellness. I'm so happy to have you here. What if you could maximize your meditation practice with a tool that maximizes your time and attention with images and affirmations carefully selected to boost your positivity, to help you integrate your intentions into your subconscious? I have a special gift available for you. Visit happifiedlife.com and click on the Start Off Happy button to take a look at the phenomenal technology created by Positive Prime that uses neuroplasticity to literally wire your brain for more happiness, higher productivity, better relationships, and greater success. Head over to the happifiedlife.com page to start off happy with Positive Prime. Enjoy it free for 30 days. Welcome back. I am so happy to have you with me this week on the show. I'm really excited to dig into a topic that perhaps you haven't thought of before. What I notice in this realm of personal growth, of personal development, of pursuing our own goals and striving for success, which I see a lot in my work in helping people recognize the stress that is showing up in our lives, what we can do about that, how we can feel more empowered in the way that we address that stress. One thing that I see people often overlook is our innate strengths, the places where we naturally shine. Because in this journey of personal development, a lot of us spend most of our time trying to fix what we think is broken. If I procrastinate less, I will get more done. If I spend less time organizing and more time doing this, that's what's holding me back in my journey to success. If I can wake up at 5 a.m. to exercise before work, if I can be more like somebody who seems to have a better handle on all of this. And so what I think is a very valuable new perspective that I invite you to consider is, instead of all of our attention, all of our energy, when we have that energy left over, to fix, big air quotes on that, fix what we perceive as broken in ourselves, we're putting energy in the wrong place. And let me show you why I believe this is true. So in the field of positive psychology, one aspect that has a good amount of attention and also some study is this concept of character strengths, places in which we naturally shine. And the VIA Character Institute has identified 24 inherent strengths of character. And they did this by looking across cultures, even religions, looking at things, areas in which we esteem others. And they identified these 24 strengths of character that people tend to inherently have to differing degrees. And so you can actually take a survey that they've developed, and I'm going to include a link here in the show notes. As a practitioner, I have a link so that you can find this survey, but you can also find it by Googling or searching online VIA Character Strengths Survey, and you can take it yourself and see for yourself what areas you're naturally strong in. And one of the important points that they make up front is Not to say you'll get a report that identifies your top 5 character strengths or lists them in order. Not to say that you are deficient in the others. Not to say that you rank low in strengths 19 through 24. But what they're indicating here is that there are areas in which you naturally have more energy, more grace, more strength in these aspects of character. And some are just naturally less developed. So it's not at all to be read as a shortcoming. And I'll share some of my own feedback from my own report so you can kind of get an idea of what this is before you go ahead and take the survey. And I would love for you to do that, because I think, and this is a point that I really invite you to sit with and consider, where in your life this could start to move the needle, not only in terms of the way that stress is impacting you, but also the way in which you take care of yourself. You put yourself first. You believe that good things are deserved, that you have warranted them, that you are already enough. And I invite you to make this leap with me and consider that just as you are, wherever you are on the journey, whether you're just starting out, whether you've been spending years studying, developing your strengths, or trying to recover your flaws, but in what aspects you are already worthy. You are already enough. Wherever you are on this journey, we are all perfectly imperfect. And as long as we have an eye to what we want to be more of, what we want to move ourselves towards, as long as we're not settling for the status quo, as long as we are not sitting back in resignation saying, this is the best that I can do, this is all that I'm going to ever get out of life, and sitting into that frustration. If you are looking for opportunities, if you are seeking solutions, then I invite you to consider that you are already worthy of those solutions, already worthy of the rewards that life has in store for you. Sometimes we just need to open our eyes and recognize we are ready to step into those. And so I think that a beautiful way to start to be more present to how we are already worthy is by taking a look at our inherent strengths. So let me go ahead and list these for you. If you're listening to the show on the move, let your ears just kind of take on whatever stands out for you. I would love to just kind of bookmark 2 or 3, perhaps 5 if you can hold on to all that many as you're going on about your day. And as I said, later on you can take this survey for yourself and find out your own inherent character strengths. And so the 24 that are included by the VIA group are creativity, curiosity, judgment, love of learning, perspective, bravery, perseverance, honesty, zest, love, kindness, social intelligence, teamwork, fairness, leadership, forgiveness, humility, prudence, self-regulation, gratitude, hope, appreciation of beauty and excellence, humor, and spirituality. So that's quite a list, and it covers quite a range. And I would love to know, I always love to hear back from you, my viewers, my listeners, what stands out for you. And if, as you take the survey, you find other things that are highlighted that perhaps you didn't notice or take in on your first pass. As I said, sometimes we spend so much time focusing on what we wish we had more on the strengths that we wish came more naturally to us, that we can easily overlook the places where we already naturally shine. For some of us, zest, passion for life might be something that comes easily, and for some, prudence, that kind of more calm, quiet assessment, being cautious, making wise choices, if you will. Some of those characters might fall into that strength of prudence. I will confess that prudence is not one of my inherent and best developed strengths. So as I've looked over my list, I can see the areas in which my strengths are already developed and the areas in which I can run into some issues, some roadblocks, if you will. And by recognizing those, when I'm in a situation where I might benefit from having more prudence, where I'm going into a situation where I really need to assess the total picture and make a very well guarded and guided decision, I need to kind of build in some aspects of that. I need to look for ways to slow myself down. I need to give myself some benchmarks. What all do I need to consider when I'm making this choice, and not just go wildly into leading with my love of learning, which is one of my top 5 character strengths. So let me share with you on my own report. I'll do a little bit of self-reveal here. And again, hopefully this will pique your curiosity. I'd love to hear what your top 5 character strengths are. Number 1 is humor, which is interesting. I wouldn't have given myself number 1 that, but I am grateful to see that one on the list. Love of learning, as I already mentioned. Fairness, which I do believe is true. I do spend a lot of time wishing that everyone had equal access and that the world was more fair. See previous conversations where I've talked about things that are within our control and outside of our control, but personally, in aspects where I'm able to move the needle towards fairness, that is something that I'm passionate about doing. Spirituality, which is not to say faith or religion, but someone who feels aligned to a greater wisdom, who feels, I believe this is a really integral part in my own personal definition of spirituality, that there is a unifying spirit and energy that is within all of us. And I think that's a very important aspect of how we move through our lives and operate in this world. And gratitude, number 5 on my list. And it does list all 24 in descending order, but gratitude is definitely on the list. And I would say that feels true to course as well. My husband and I, we like to have little gratitude parties every now and then, feeling blessed in our lives, in the little pleasures, like sitting outside and watching a beautiful sunset, like enjoying an incredible meal that he has prepared, because my husband loves to cook and experiment in the kitchen, and I am always grateful for his curiosity and his zest for life. I would put those 2 on the top of his list. And so I'd love to know, as I read through that list, what stood out for you, and how easy is it to focus on the things where you feel like you naturally shine, and do you have that tendency to go towards those areas in which you feel like you need to fix something? There's always time for fixing things, for polishing up aspects of ourselves that we wish we could do better in. But I do believe that we are inherently worthy as we are. And this is really valuable to look at too in the workplace. If you feel like you're struggling at work, if you feel out of your element, if you feel like some other people at work or on your team might be passing you by, they have other strengths that come more naturally to them that might not translate into this more and more so digital world in remote workplaces. If you're a very personable and kind person, if you love to be together with people, it can be hard to translate that into a more remote workplace. So how can you bring your own strengths to the table? So the VIA Institute also has a wonderful program that they have developed and recommend, and this is something that I love to share also in programs. Their 4-step program into incorporating and really utilizing your inherent strengths and finding them in other people. And so the 4 steps of their program are: first, recognizing and appreciating strengths in others. Sometimes it's a little bit easier to take that perspective, to see where you admire and appreciate things that other people do. Sometimes that inner critic or inner judgmental voice keeps us from naturally doing that for ourselves. Next, looking at how we can explore and use our own signature strengths, working from the results of that assessment. What are your top 5 strengths, and how do you get to use those in the workplace or outside of work, in your free time, following your passion as you play? Do you get to engage curiosity and love of learning? How does that get to show up in your life? And how much do you enjoy those activities where you get to incorporate these strengths? And as you think about that, what kind of opportunities can you create where you can do more of that? So beyond exploring and using your own signature strengths, you can start to apply those strengths to life's challenges. So this, as you've developed your vision, your awareness for your own strengths, as you're seeing strengths demonstrated in other people, then as life serves up challenges, as stress finds you, because we all know that it will in some fashion or another, how can you apply your natural strengths to situations to help you sail through them more easily? And then finally, with all of this insight, building these muscles, recognizing our natural strengths, how can you make these a habit? How can you put more attention, more energy into incorporating these ways in which you naturally shine? One of the things that I notice as I'm working with people who struggle with stress, who tend to feel overwhelmed or exhausted, who might feel resentment in relationships because in many cases they have people in relationship who are crossing boundaries, perhaps their children, their partner, work colleagues, friends. And we treasure that special time to be together with friends, but we all might have a friend who, knowingly or not, crosses boundaries, who asks a little more of us than we're comfortable giving. And where do you see the translation here? I think that many times people struggle with their personal confidence, with their feeling of worthiness, feeling like they need to put other people's happiness first. I see this most particularly in parents, but also in many, many other people that I work with, feeling like if they help others feel better, if they help others do an excellent job, then others will be grateful. Others will recognize that support. Others will shine back on them the value that they've received. Unfortunately, this isn't a fail-safe method of having your worthiness reflected back. The most effective way to develop your worthiness is to do exactly what we're talking about, to look at your own inherent strengths and recognize this is what you bring to the table. And then choose when you want to make it available, and not always feel like you have to lead by giving, but standing in your own worthiness, your own confidence, and having this available to share with others is profoundly beneficial. So consider how your top strengths can help you to underline or put bullet points on the areas in which you deserve a little more recognition, and how can you recognize yourself, your own inherent strengths. I'd love to hear from you. I'd love this to be the beginning of a conversation. I'm excited to dive more deeply into strengths. This is a topic that we'll come back to on the show, but this is the first time that I'm sharing this idea. So I want to seed these topics. I want to put this out there and see how it lands for you. Have you start playing around in this sandbox of personal strengths. See what sticks, see what you kind of shake off, see how many ways in which you find yourself focusing on what you didn't do well, and where you can turn that spotlight, where you can turn your attention to the ways in which you did excellent, the areas in which you naturally shine, and how you can do more of that, how you can invite more of those opportunities and continue to show up in that manner, in the way that only you can do in this world. As we begin to feel more confident, as we really reaffirm this worthiness, as we recognize that we have the right to have boundaries to protect ourselves, then we have so much more to give to others. So one other area in which I see people struggle is when I offer that putting yourself first isn't selfish. It helps you be more and have more to give to the people that you love. Consider this. Consider how focusing on your own strengths lets you have so much more to bring to the conversation, to bring to the people that you love, to bring to the work that lights you up. I can't wait to continue this conversation. Thank you for joining me. Be sure to let me know your thoughts. If you haven't already, post a review and rating on Apple and share a comment on YouTube if you're catching the video. And let's start the conversation about where you naturally shine and how you invite the world, the life that you're living, to bring more of the same. Thank you for shining your light in the world. I'm so grateful to have you with me. Have a wonderful day. Thanks for joining us today. To learn more about living life with less stress and more flow, visit happifiedlife.com. Subscribe on your favorite player to catch the next episode as soon as it's out. Sharing really is caring, so please rate and review the show while you're there. And if you know someone else who would love it, please pass it along. Until next time, my friends, keep on shining.